Welcome to another Walter Football video. I'm Charlie Campbell, Senior Draft Analyst, the most accurate mock drafter in the world. Alright, so we are about halfway through the college football season, and we're starting to get a bit more clarity into some of these prospects and to some of the positions in this draft class that are pretty strong. Emerging talents, things like that. So if you want to look back into the hot press articles I did in recent weeks, I didn't do a video hitting on those, but I'll hit on them briefly here. Um, One, and speaking to some team sources, they thought this has the potential to be a strong class for edge rush talent. A lot of good edge rushers to be had potentially in the first few rounds. Looking beyond round one, you have some kind of obvious guys like Keldrick Falk from Auburn, David Bailey from Stanford might be on that bubble. Harold Perkins, the linebacker from LSU, was a really good edge rusher early in his career. They kind of use him differently now, but he showed dynamic ability to get after the quarterback. You have other defensive linemen like Ruben Bain from Miami, could be maybe picked in the first round, possibly second round. I've heard from some team people that aren't as high on him as, say, some of the rest of the media. But then there could be a really nice group that could be day two guys, potentially moving up into the first round, depending on how they play the back half of the season and how they test. Gabe Yakus from Illinois, Damon Wilson and Zion Young, teammates at Missouri, R. Mason Thomas from Oklahoma, smaller, fast edge rusher, Mateo Uyagalele. Can't believe I butchered that one. But he's another guy with size, speed, just needs more consistency. You got TJ Parker from Clemson. He's been a bit disappointing this season. Will Helt, the defensive end on the other side of the line with Clemson, he's impressed. He could be a potential second rounder. You got Kenyatta Jackson from Ohio State as a player with a lot of upside. Danny Dennis Sutton, a strong base end at Penn State. I could see being a potential late second round pick. So you got a lot of good potential there for a strong class of edge rushers. Then I also did a hot press on the Ohio State linebacker Arvell Reese. I think he could end up being a first-round pick. Not many linebackers, non-pass rushing linebackers, go in the first round, so we did a hot press on him a few weeks ago, and I spoke to some team sources who definitely could see that possibility for him next April. He's having a really excellent season for Ohio State. But the hot press I wanted to focus on the most for this week was just some information I got from speaking with multiple team sources over the past week, and that a number of guys, they all agreed that South Carolina quarterback LaNorris Sellers should go back to school next year. They all felt that there's just still a lot of rawness to his game. Last year he really finished the year strong. It wasn't a complete season. The back half of the year was much better than the first half, and you haven't seen an escalation from the back half of last year and building on that going into this year. It's been pretty much a stagnant level of play. Last year he completed 66% of his passes. He's right about at that number this year. Last year he threw for 2,500 yards, 18 touchdowns. This year he's at 886 yards with 4 touchdown passes, so not lighting it up. And you also got to keep in mind, early in the season you're not necessarily playing great competition, so that's kind of a time of year where you'd like to see a bit more numbers for some of these guys to get off to a good start. But they felt, all these sources felt, that he should go back. They felt he has a lot of talent, but you'd be drafting him based on the potential of what he will be, not what he is now. And that potential part is the scary part. And as one source said, unfortunately, he reminds me of Anthony Richardson a lot. And Anthony Richardson should have gone back to school at Florida, was only a 1-year starter, really needed to develop the accuracy. I think his final start with the Gators against Florida State, he went like 9 of 31. And I remember one team source whose team was looking at the quarterbacks. He started them later in the year. He was a director. And so he asked me, what do you think was Richardson's best game? And I said the first game, season opener against Utah. And he was like, and what was his worst game? And I think I was like the next week 2, I think it was against Kentucky. And then you add that Florida State game. So just complete inconsistency. He really needed to play more college football, needed more reps throwing against college secondaries, reading the defense, learning, working on his fundamentals to improve his accuracy, which has been a huge problem for him in the NFL. And it's sad because I've heard he's a great kid, good worker, and obviously he has all the talent you could dream of in terms of the arm strength, just a cannon for an arm, dynamic running ability, and great athlete, and it's just not coming together for him in the NFL because he didn't have enough developmental time in college. The NFL does not have a lot of patience with these quarterbacks, so before long, assuming Daniel Jones doesn't have a meltdown, Richardson's probably going to be bouncing around potentially as a backup and stuff, trying to find an opportunity and trying to become the next Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones, and be a former first-round pick that moves around and ends up thriving with another franchise later on. But that's the kind of the path he's on to stick out of hope. But there's a good chance that could not work out either. We've seen that with a lot of guys. Maybe he's more like Zach Wilson. Who knows? So at any rate, these sources felt Sellers should go back. And from watching him this year, I cannot disagree. I think he needs a lot more reps throwing against college secondaries. I think he needs a lot more reps reading defenses. I think there's some accuracy issues, especially I think it would help him to just work with some more seasoned quarterback coaches, former NFL coaches who can help him with his footwork. That's going to get him to be more accurate, improve his fundamentals. And right now, I would say if he were, from talking to team sources, they felt there's a good chance he's going to enter the draft. They still think he will. And he still could be a first-round pick, just like Richardson, who went 4th overall. So just because he's this raw doesn't mean he won't get taken high. It just means he's a bigger project. You're betting on what he could be, not what he is, and that's a scary proposition when you're drafting a quarterback, especially. So definitely, I think that at this point you could see other quarterbacks going ahead of him, whereas going into the season he was probably the top-rated guy. But Oregon's Dante Moore, I think, could go ahead of him. Oklahoma's John Mateer, I think, could go ahead of him, assuming Mateer can get back on the field and show he's healthy and play well when he returns to the lineup for the Sooners. That injury's kind of throwing things off there for him. But if he returns to the field and plays well, I could see him going ahead of Sellers as well. So, and then you have other quarterbacks that could rise over the back half of the season and go ahead of him potentially, like Mendoza at Indiana. So definitely I think Sellers would be wise to go back to school. I think that just if he's looking at the long-term future and wanting to have a real NFL career and stick and have a long NFL career, he should go back. And he can probably make plenty of money in the NIL world that we live in, and whether it's with South Carolina or someone else. So he's still going to get money out of it. But in terms of having a pro career, he needs to develop more at college before he goes to the NFL and gets forced on the field quickly, and probably before he's ready. And then we've seen that go wrong for so many guys before. So that's just some latest information I have there. Got recently here this week on Sellers. I got a bunch of other stuff cooking that I'm talking about with team sources and trying to get some other opinions on that's cooking in the lab here that I'm going to be pumping out here in the weeks to come. And of course, we got Monday morning draft going up every week, looking at how the games impacted the draft on Sunday, doing matchmaker, looking at hot seat tracker with coaches, GM, head coach candidates, racing for the #1 pick, who's kind of leading that charge these days. And then, of course, the mocks getting updated every week, position rankings getting updated every week, and Walt's got his picks going up every week, which are a great read. So, anyways, hope you guys are doing well. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying. So, I'll be back with you guys soon. You take care.